I'm dreaming. I know it's a dream because I've seen the scenery countless times before. I don't want to see it, and yet my left eye captures the scene perfectly. In the darkness, there's a boy and a girl. They were both my friends. There were many more boys and girls here, though I'm not sure if I'd call all of them friends. But my eye sees only the two of them now. The rest of the children are sleeping nearby, just like me. Therefore, it's a dream. I'm sleeping, yet I can see them, and there aren't any other people here. The girl's hands touched the boy's throat. I don't remember what the boy screamed, what the boy said. But things weren't normal. Of course, strangling someone isn't something done within the bounds of reason. I try to close my eye. Even though I know it's a dream, because I know it's a dream, I don't want to see this any longer. It's a repetition I'm unable to stop. My eyelids don't move, as if they're fixed in place. It's the same as that time. The girl's fingers dig into the boy's throat. Why is she trying to kill him? What the fuck's going on? The boy's hands reach out to the girl. The girl is laughing. Okay, that's even more disturbing. The boy is smiling. Well, that's just weird. Maybe they weren't smiles. But from a distance, it looked to me as if the two of them were smiling. The boy's arms drop to the floor. The girl's hands leave his throat. The girl embraces the husk of the boy. And again, she laughs. It's a scene I've seen countless times before. Every time I see it, a filter like frosted glass appears before it, making it less distant. And yet, I never forget what happened then. I can't forget, no matter what I do. That's why I have these dreams. Yeah, obviously that was another one of Yukiko's dreams, I'm guessing. I really am wondering what that has to do with... okay, so she was saying there's a lot of boys and girls there. I'm guessing that was the orphanage she used to live in, because if you remember, Kohane was talking about how she used to live in an orphanage, so maybe it's something to do with that. Nissan, shouldn't you be getting up? I hear Yukari's voice. Just a little longer. It's cold. I can't escape from the warm clutches of my futon. Really? I'm leaving, alright? Gotcha. I open my eyes a crack and Yukari's standing there by my bed. Oh yeah, today's her opening ceremony. Breakfast is in the living room. Please eat and then soak your dishes in the sink, okay? Got it. I'll be going then. Yukari leaves the room. Guess I'll get up. I try to kick my futon off and quickly give up. If Yukari had just turned on the hibachi, it might be a little warmer in here. Nissan. Yukari's come back. I look up at her from my futon like before. You've got a telegram from Toyama. Toyama. It must be from Kurya Yuzuru. I'll leave it here, okay? Ignoring my hand when I reach out for it, Yukari sits it down on, of all places, the desk furthest away from my futon. Yukari. I think you should wake yourself up, have breakfast, and read it when you're good and clear-headed. And just like that, Yukari leaves the room. Yeah, she did that on purpose. It's a fair argument, so I can't really say anything back to her. Guess I'll get up. I head to the living room, carrying the envelope containing the telegram. The heater is actually on in here, making it pleasantly warm. Guess there was no reason for me to be shivering inside my futon. The rice and miso soup are already in bowls, but they don't look cold yet. I'm curious about the contents of the telegram, but I should eat first. I down the sardines and pickles right away. I drain the mushroom miso soup as well, scarfing down the rice, and then gather up all the plates and bowls. I leave them in a bucket filled with water in the kitchen and catch my breath. My brain's nourished now and my eyes are fully open. Alright, time to look over Kurya Yuzuru's telegram. I open the envelope and take out the paper inside. It's the list of blood types for the Hinagami and Shigusa families I requested the other day. And since I asked a doctor for it, he's even written down the genotypes too. Hinagami Hideyomi, AA, Hinagami Mariko, AO, Hinagami Shizuru, AA, Hinagami Aito, O, Hinagami Karen, O, Shigusa Yoshimitsu, BO, Shigusa Ryoko, O, Shigusa Michio, BO, Shigusa Miya, O, Shigusa Saya, BO. It looks like Yuzuru, who left the Hinagami family, and Kensei, who married into the Shigusa family, aren't on here. This Shigusa Michio fellow must be the one who founded the Congregation of the Blessed. From what Masaaki told me, Shigusa Ryoko and Hinagami Mariko are sisters. But from what I can tell, it looks like the Hinagami family is a family of type A's and the Shigusa are a family of type B's. But we still don't know the body's blood type, huh? The limbs that must belong to Satsuki. Until we know that, this data is useless. If she's type B, it increases the chances of her somehow being related to the Shigusas. though she could have A-type blood in her depending on who her parents are. I take the document and stand up. I head to the library in the back of the house. It's really cold in here in the winter, so I'd like to just find the book I need and leave, but I recall rummaging through the books on genetics when I got interested in the subject after giving blood to Masaaki. I find a simple chart. It's a chart of blood types for parents and children based on Mendel's laws. There's one thing that bothers me about that telegram. Just like I thought. I should probably keep this information to myself for the time being. It could be some kind of trump card later. Kinda want to know what he found there. So maybe that information we got wasn't completely useless. The opening ceremony ends and Yukari and Kohane return to their classroom. Kohane walks up to her immediately. It doesn't look like she's here yet. Right. They look toward the unoccupied desk behind them. It's Yukiko's seat. They haven't seen her all morning. Have you heard anything from her, Kohane? No? Kohane shakes her head. I wonder what happened. Maybe she didn't finish her homework. I don't think that's it. She's not you, Kohane. Ooh, burn. Hey, I'm here. And did you finish your book report? I didn't finish the book I was planning on writing about, so I did a different one. Oh my, I'm impressed. Yukari's honestly surprised. She didn't think Kohane had actually finished the assignment. I thought a short work would be easier, so I found it. The very heart of Japan. You're not going to tell me you read a poem or something, are you? Of course not. Yukari's stab in the dark turns out to be a bullseye. What poem did you write about? She's not sure if you could call it a book report, but if she'd read a poem and wrote down her impressions of it, it would at least be a report. It sounds a lot harder than writing how you felt about a novel, though. Well, you know, a very esteemed one. Was it the one that starts with The Fields of Autumn by Emperor Tenji? How did you know? She decides not to explain that it's the first poem of the Hakyū Nishu. A collection of 100 poems by 100 poets. Oh. The door in the back of the classroom opens and Yukiko walks in. Oh, Yukiko-chan. Kohane runs over to Yukiko. Morning. Morning. You okay? Yeah. Yukiko nods and heads for her seat. Are you feeling ill? Just a little bit. Don't worry. Yukiko lays her head on her desk as soon as she takes her seat. If you're not feeling well, perhaps you should go to the nurse's office. Yeah, I'm okay though. Her voice is muffled with her head in her arms. The door opens and their homeroom teacher comes in. If you need anything, please come to me right away, okay? Yukari says to Yukiko before returning to her seat. From then until homeroom ends, Yukiko barely moves. Maybe it's because of the dream she had, she's so exhausted. Mid-morning, the classes for today end and Yukari and her friends leave the classroom. Yukiko must have recovered a little. She's still a bit pale, but she's able to walk around on her own. Do you have a fever? I don't think so. Pardon me for a moment. Yukari reaches out and feels Yukiko's forehead. You don't feel feverish. I think I'm just tired because I didn't sleep enough. Yukiko swiftly distances herself from Yukari. I'm going to the hospital after this, so you don't need to worry about me. Well, that's good. Want us to come with you? No, I'll be okay. Yukiko declines Kohane's offer. They've helped me for a long time. I'll be fine on my own. Take care of yourself, okay? Yeah, thank you, Tokisaka-san. Yukari and Kohane see Yukiko off as she boards a bus, then head home. Oh, senpai. Aimu runs up to them. Happy New Year, Sato-san. Let's have another good year, Aimuchi. I hope you'll keep taking good care of me. Is your club on break? Yes, I'm focusing on building my stamina since there aren't any competitions in winter. So you're running and stuff? Yeah, I run laps around campus every morning. Our campus is pretty big, isn't it? It's only about 1 kilometer every lap. Only? Man, that'd take me like an hour. That would be slower than walking. So I'll leave that to you. I instruct Masaaki when he's all prepared. Why don't you just go, Tokisaka-san? I have an appointment, actually. Don't you really just not want to see them? Of course I don't. I reply honestly to Masaaki's cynical comment. Those two are in the top 5 people I don't want to see. Uh-huh. I'd rather not meet with them either, actually. Well, give up on that idea. Hurry up and get out of here. I check the time and send Masaaki on his way. I'll get going then. Masaaki leaves the office. It's exactly as he says. I'm not confident that I can restrain myself in a conversation with him. That's why I gave Masaaki the bare minimum of information and had him go. But will Masaaki be able to get any answers out of him? I'll just have to count on the fact that he's a former patient. Now, they're probably talking about, Rokushiki. There's a knock on the door at precisely 1 p.m. Yes? The door opens when I respond and Toji enters the office. Right on time. It'd be inconvenient if I got here too early. So she's been here waiting for a while already. I saw Masaaki heading to the station. Did you send him on an errand? Yeah, just something at the MPD. Can that guy handle Yaginuma? I sent him to talk to someone even more troublesome, actually. Sounds bleak. Toji takes a seat on the sofa and sets 2 packed envelopes on the table. This is the manuscript of the Shell of Sheol that was in police custody, and this is the manuscript of the Sheep of Purgatorio that was sent to the publisher. Did you check them? I ask her when I undo the cords closing the envelopes. I looked them over when they were being explained to me. What did you think? Look and see for yourself. Upon Toji's urging, I gaze at the 2 manuscripts I removed from their envelopes. A handwritten manuscript labeled The Shell of Sheol Part 2. I found it roughly 2 years ago in his office. I guess the police are pretty good at preserving this stuff. It's not faded or stained at all. It looks exactly like it did that day. Next is the manuscript of the Sheep of Purgatorio that was mailed to the publisher. This one's been written with a fountain pen as well, and I can tell right away that the ink's a different color, but it's different. It doesn't take a graphologist to figure that much out. The 2 manuscripts were written in entirely different handwritings. I'm certain it was written by someone else. Did you tell that to the publisher? I got that manuscript from the police afterward. I didn't know when I was there, though I did explain to them that I'd be having the handwriting analyzed, of course. I bet it'll be annoying if we tell them someone else wrote it and they have to recall every copy. In any case, we have proof now that someone else sent the manuscript in with Katsuragi Shin's name on it. I can't deny that possibility, but I continue speaking as I look down at the 2 manuscripts. The Sheep of Purgatorio greatly resembles the book before the Shell of Sheol, the Egg of Neonis. I'm no specialist, so I can't say for sure, but wouldn't it bear a resemblance if it was written using that book as a reference? Well, I suppose so, but how do I say this? It seems like he's trying to succeed the past work, like he's trying to create a legitimate sequel. You could do that if you read into the previous book enough, couldn't you? You're captive to your preconceptions, so you just want to believe that there's a clue to Katsuragi Shin in here. Harsh. I can't help but smile bitterly. It's just as Toji says. I believe that this somehow leads to Katsuragi Shin's, to Toko's whereabouts, even though I'm just caught up in my own obsession. Then who on earth wrote it? Probably just some guy acting on vanity. I could write something like that too, he thought. And with the author himself missing, there'd be nothing to stop him and it'd be a huge conversation topic, right? Yeah, I feel like Toji's probably onto something with that, because I can't really think of any other reason why somebody would want to copy that guy, or, try to pass themselves off as being him. Just for the sake of self-satisfaction, though? People only put on airs for self-satisfaction, do they not? She's right. But would someone do this just for their own vanity? No matter how highly this novel is praised, it's Katsuragi Shin who would get credit for it. Even if the true author revealed himself later, he wouldn't have any way to prove it. A handwriting or fingerprint analysis wouldn't necessarily prove his authorship. Was this manuscript tested for fingerprint? I guess that'd be impossible, huh? I realize before I'm finished asking and shake my head. I'm sure the editor and a bunch of others have touched it by now. So all we'd be able to go on is handwriting analysis, huh? You'd need handwritings to compare in that case, though. First, we need to narrow down some possibilities for the author, but I can't help thinking that that's just getting further off track on our search for Katsuragi Shin. What should we do? Do you want to keep looking into this? Toji asks me. I was told by the publisher that in the unlikely event that we proved Katsuragi Shin didn't write this manuscript, they want me to track down the authors, so it's not like I couldn't do more digging. All I can really tell you is to prioritize your investigation into the Blessed Congregation. That's an ongoing case after all. Katsuragi Shin's and Toko's whereabouts are a matter of the past. I have to tell myself that anyway. Got it. Toji stands. I'll have to take these back. I should at least have those handwriting analyses done. Toji returns the manuscripts to their envelopes. They'd serve no purpose sitting here. Well, see you. Toji leaves the office. Phew. I let out a sigh and lean back on the sofa. I'm just not getting anywhere. I've at least got to settle these serial murders soon. It's dangerous, but I'll have to talk to her. I pick up the telephone receiver and dial a certain location. Who could it be? Who could it be? Yukiko sits alone in the examination room, waiting for the doctor to come. Oh man, she went here. Of course she went here. Why wouldn't she? She can't seem to relax. It's not her first time coming here. It's simply a place where she's unable to relax. Then why would you come here? The building smells of incense much more than medicine. She senses people inside, but never runs into many of them. She's enveloped by a sensation that they're merely watching her, keeping an eye on her. The door opens and the doctor shows himself. Dr. Kuria. How are you today, Kayahara-san? Dr. Kuria is the same as always. He speaks to Yukiko with a warm smile on his face. I've been having bad dreams lately. Very bad dreams. Yukiko starts explaining to Naori. Dreams about things that would be impossible in reality. Dreams where she murders herself. She tells him that she has the same dream every night. If this keeps up, I'll go mad. I know they're just dreams, but it really feels like I've killed someone. Yukiko covers her face, feeling as though she'll remember the dreams again as she's talking about them. You spoke before about losing some of your memory, didn't you? Yes, I couldn't remember a girl I was friends with a long time ago at all. Your mind could be trying to fill in the parts of your memory that you've lost. You're constructing things in your mind that could have happened in the time you lost. But I couldn't have. Of course, it would be impossible for you to have killed yourself. It must be, yes, you must be inserting yourself into events that happened around you at the time. Events that happened around me. That must be. Everyone wants to make themselves into the main character of a story. It's not unusual that you would remember yourself participating in events you hadn't participated in. Naori runs his pen over her medical chart. I'll prescribe you some sleeping pills. Please only take them when you absolutely can't sleep. I understand. Now then, have you thought about what we talked about earlier? Naori changes the subject. The conversation ceases to be one between a doctor and his patient. I can't make up my mind yet, but my mother has taken very good care of me, and if it would help her... Yukiko expresses her honest feelings. There's no need to rush things yet. Naori smiles. Would you like to have an interview with the founder first? You'd be under no obligation to decide right away, of course. I see. Yukiko nods ambiguously. She doesn't understand the power structure here very well, including the role of the doctor in front of her. All Yukiko desires now is to stop having those terrible dreams. However, if those truly are her memories, whether or not she will be able to forget them, or if they are her real memories, if she will actually remember them. That is Yukiko's only concern now. So, I'm going to go ahead and guess that Naori is trying to make Yukiko into the new holy prophet or whatever they were talking about earlier. That has to be it, because, that Naori said, you should talk to our founder. So, he's in on this whole thing. Naori is involved. I was kind of suspicious of him for a while, and it seems like I'm probably right about Naori being involved in to some extent. Yeah, he's definitely up to something. I don't think he's innocent. Masaaki takes the streetcar to Kasumigaseki. The Metropolitan Police Department stands before him. Masaki's always nervous coming here. Perhaps it's because he's always being interrogated here, but even as the interrogator, he's still nervous. He enters the building after taking a few deep breaths. Goodness, I assumed Senpai would be coming, but it's you instead. The moment he enters the first investigation division, he's greeted by Yaginuma's smug quip. I figured Senpai would be able to handle him better. That makes two of us. Masaaki doubts it will be possible for him to get anything out of Rokushiki. He'll just ask the questions Tokisaka told him to. All he can hope for is some sort of success, though Masaaki has no confidence that he'll attain that success. He enters the interrogation room. This time, he sits in the chair facing the window, instead of the chair facing the wall. The air of the room changes a great deal with just that. I'll be observing from the next room. Yaginuma leaves the interrogation room. Masaaki looks down at the piece of paper, going over the questions written on it. How many of these will I be able to get Rokushiki to answer? He wants to avoid leaving without having made any progress. He has to obtain some kind of results now that he's here. The door right next to him opens. Oh my. His voice is uncomfortably close. Masaaki makes an effort not to look at him. Our positions will be reversed like this, won't they, Masaaki-san? Rokushiki Makoto sits down in front of him. He's not like how Tokisaka described. He wasn't expecting the man to be so talkative already. The guard that brought him in is surprised too, sustaining his confusion. It's been a while. About 2 years, is it? Masaaki greets him as calmly as possible. Sounds about right. I'm sorry that your treatment had to be cut short. That's because you were arrested. He manages to resist making the comment, though he's sure Rokushiki can tell exactly what he's thinking. It must be fate that we've met here again. Shall we continue your treatment now? No, thank you. He could end up taking the reins here. Masaaki shakes his head, rejecting Rokushiki's proposal. I have some questions I'd like to ask you. Oh? Rokushiki's face becomes near expressionless. What would you like to know? Were you using Hinagami Pharmaceuticals' psychoactive drugs at the hospital? What's this? Rokushiki's expression looks somehow disappointed. Do you really want to know that? I thought for sure you'd be asking about Kamizono-kun. Masaaki bites his lip and endures his anger. That has nothing to do with this, and there would be no point in asking you about her. She was killed long after you were arrested. You're correct. Rokushiki's lips curl into a grin. There are many here who ignore casual relationships that should be immediately apparent with but a little thought. It's tough. So, do you know anything about Hinagami Pharmaceuticals? Masaaki tries to steer the conversation back on course. Seems like there's some things about Kamizono Mayu and her relationship with Masaaki or Aito that we don't really know about yet. At least it seems that way. I would think you'd be much better informed on that subject. Rokushiki's eyes lock onto Masaaki. He's like a frog in a snake's gaze. I heard they were developing a lot of new psychoactive drugs. Did you use them? The drugs I prescribed to you back then were manufactured by Hinagami Pharmaceuticals. They didn't cause too many side effects, did they? Sorry, but I was only taking them for a short while. Are you certain? If you kept going to that hospital, I would imagine you've taken quite a lot of them by now. If there aren't any side effects, that's not a problem. You're exactly right, which is why that left arm of yours isn't the product of a side effect at all. Masaaki retracts his left arm without thinking. I know that. In the first place, illnesses are caused by danger signals your body is sending. They're a sign that the system is functioning properly. Medicine forcefully suppresses those signals. In this situation, which side is going against nature's laws, would you say? I didn't come here to talk about things like that. He can't let this man control the conversation. Just because the air raid alarm is loud, would you decide not to sound it? That's precisely what medicine does. The alarm doesn't sound, you think you're safe, and then the air raid comes. What exactly are you trying to say? I think it's pretty clear. He's trying to say that you can't sense pain or any sort of side effects because the medicine is suppressing your body's natural reaction to that, or it alerting you to that. Masaaki butts in, fed up with the excitement in Rokushiki's voice. I'm simply talking. There's hardly any significance in it. Discerning that is your work. The garrulous criminal before Masaaki looks at him as if he's about to lick his lips. No, it's probably only Masaaki seeing him that way. If Masaaki hadn't heard it from Tokisaka, he would have never have thought that the man in front of him was a vicious madman. He would see him as a mere psychiatrist. This is getting nowhere. Rokushiki's shoulders slump as if to say, you're wasting my time. I mean, do you have any time to waste? You're in prison. In recent years, Hinagami Pharmaceuticals' psychoactive drugs have been developing at a striking rate, causing the company to expand into Tokyo in the blink of an eye. So I've heard. He's heard that the Tokyo office opened when his grandfather Hideyomi was entrusted with the company. Whatever happened then, well, an outsider like me wouldn't know, would I? Rokushiki shakes his head as if he's seen through everything. Alright, I don't need to hear any more about this. Sensing that he wouldn't get any decent information out of this line of questioning, Masaaki decides to try another. You know Shirosaki Michiro-san, right? I believe she was a patient of yours. Yes, I know her very well. She was my patient long before you were. Please tell me about her. Please tell me what it is you wish to know about her. I can't answer otherwise. Rokushiki prompts Masaaki, almost like a teacher. I want to know why she started harming herself. Is she still hospitalized? Masaaki nods silently in response. I don't know who took over after I left, but I suppose that means she hasn't recovered then. What happened to her? Do you honestly think a doctor can answer that question? Rokushiki sneers. Do you really still consider yourself a doctor? You came here for this consultation because you consider me a doctor as well, didn't you? I'm not here for a consultation. I came to question you. As a doctor, yes. You just wanted to speak to Rokushiki Makoto, or perhaps Saito Tamaki. We wouldn't be able to do anything but gossip. He's at a loss for words. I can only speak to you, my former patient, like this because I'm a doctor. That's when Masaaki understands the discrepancy between this Rokushiki and how Tokisaka described his demeanor. If that's the case, then... Your former patient, Shirosaki Michiro-san, was almost kidnapped by someone yesterday. She won't say anything about it herself. Do you have any ideas why that would have happened? You should have said so sooner. Rokushiki corrects his posture. There's a simple reason why Shirosaki-san hasn't said anything. It's because she promised not to. But why would she keep a promise with someone who'd abducted? But what if she doesn't see it that way? For instance, taking a walk with you somewhere. What if she saw it like that? Is that possible? Would a kidnapper say, I'm going to kidnap you? Sometimes they might, but supposing they hadn't and had just taken her somewhere. Is that why she's hospitalized? She doesn't doubt people, or she just accepts things as they are. She doesn't have any developmental disorders. Rokushiki shakes his head. If she was kidnapped, it's probably something related to her household. You mean a relative took her? Rokushiki shakes his head again. Her household, the Shirosaki family, seem to be wrapped up in a certain religion. What sort of religion? Masaki's getting a bad feeling about this. I believe, yes, it was called the Blessed Congregation. It seems you're familiar with them. Well, yes. Why is that name coming up here? She was raised in an orphanage belonging to that organization and was taken in by some members, the Shirosaki family. So she was adopted. And what if it's the same orphanage that Yukiko's from? So now it's all sort of coming together here, isn't it? The Blessed Congregation seems to have their hands in a lot of this. So you're sure she was taken by a member of the Blessed Congregation? You want me to make that judgment? That's probably impossible. Masaaki should look into it and decide for himself. She seems to have developed her mental disorder when she was in the orphanage, but it worsened when she was taken in by the Shirosaki family, and that's when she was hospitalized. The conversation retroactively turns to Michiro's past. Was it abuse? I'm sure that was part of it, but there are many reported cases of abuse leading to self-harm, but that's the reason her mental disorder worsened. Her mind's been ravaged by illness for a long time now. Those eyes of hers are a product of it as well, he says. Rokushiki suddenly claps his hands. I've done a bit too much talking. My throat's begun to hurt. What happened to her? Though I must say, conversations are so much fun, it's been too long. I may have been too generous. Instead of answering Masaki's question, Rokushiki makes a final comment, then closes his lips. Masaaki knows right away that the generosity he's referring to is the information about Michiro's past that he shared. However, he's not sure that he really learned much. About Michiro's past and about Hinagami Pharmaceuticals, all he did was line up facts. All he did was talk. He didn't reveal any of his opinions at all, however. Rokushiki stands up straight and heads to the door. The guard rushes over to the interrogation room to detain him. He was walking as if he would have just strolled out of the building if the guard hadn't moved. Take him away. Yaginuma comes into the room and delivers an order, and the restrained Rokushiki is taken away. Masaaki can't read anything in his expression. You sure got him to talk. It was nothing but gossip, though. That's right. It didn't even feel to Masaaki like they had been doctor and patient. I guess we got some things out of that. Basically, what we got out of that is the Blessed Congregation is up to some shit, which we kind of figured. We kind of figured that much already. While I'm preparing for tonight, I suddenly realize it's already evening. Guess I should eat something before I meet her. Well, where should I go? Oh boy. I think we should probably go to the Kuchiki Hospital. See what's going on there. How on earth did I end up here after thinking I should eat something? I didn't come here to eat hospital food. It might be healthy, but I'm not too into bland stuff like that. Well, there are places to eat around here too. Guess I'll eat in one of them. And right when I turn on my heel and start to leave the hospital. It's kind of weird how, like, you know, Reiji makes these comments about, like, why am I even here? It's like, because the man controlling you told you should go here. I catch sight of Michiro lying on one of the benches in front of the reception desk. You'll catch a cold if you sleep here. Now that I've seen her, I can't really leave her be, so I shake her to wake her up. Michiro slowly gets up. Why the heck are you sleeping here? 'Cause I couldn't sleep last night. Sleep on your bed in your room. I don't like it there. Michiro shakes her head. Did something happen? No. She shakes her head again. You wouldn't normally hate your own bed in your own room if something hadn't happened, right? Oh, Shirosaki-san and Tokisaka-san. Nanako approaches from a distant hallway. This is where you were. You weren't in your room, so I was worried about you. I don't like it there. And you just had an attack this morning. Nanako sighs. An attack? Yes, just a little one though. Nanako brings her hand to her left eye for a moment. She probably means like that time she clawed out her glass eye. I wonder if she had a scary dream. Oh, kind of like Yukiko was having a scary dream, huh? That's kind of weird how that's happening. Like they both have bad dreams, and they both come from that orphanage. And Yukiko's dream seemed to be related to that orphanage. Nanako mumbles with a sigh, but Michiro doesn't respond. Well, that was kind of pointless, wasn't it? We went to the hospital and we just got it. We just got that. Okay, that didn't really progress the plot at all. Well, I mean, these scenes don't usually progress the plot whenever we just decide to go somewhere. So, I guess you could say that for most of the time we choose to go somewhere on the map. Kichijoji Station after sunset. The workers returning from their jobs pour out of the station, disappearing into the town. I find the woman I'm waiting for among them and call out to her. Over here, Hinagami-san. Good evening, Tokisaka-san. She, Hinagami Karen, has arrived. Oh. What were we going to talk to her about? You said you wanted to discuss something important. Yes, it has to do with the incidents that have occurred in the settlement as well. Why me? I'll get to that eventually. Please come this way. I lead her down a narrow street to Moonworld. Ah, this shop. Karen stops in front of Moonworld. It has a very nice atmosphere, doesn't it? Yep, I've been a customer here for a long time, though I'm not really sure if I count as a customer. Welcome. I'm going to use the table in the back. Certainly, here you are. Oh, I was thinking that Kyoko would see us with another woman and get jealous or something. I explained to Kyoko in advance, so she takes us to the table right away. Oh, okay, well at least you did that. She might have gotten mad if you didn't. I'm a little concerned about why her expression is so stiff, though. Okay, well, she's still mad. Want something to eat? No, thank you. Could I have some black tea? So she says. I'll have a coffee. Certainly. Kyoko returns to the counter after taking our orders. You said it had to do with the incidents? Yes, the ones that have been occurring since late last year, that your brother is heavily involved in. Then shouldn't you be speaking to him? I have, quite a bit. Because of that, I wanted to speak with you as well. Well, I don't mind, I suppose. Kyoko brings over our black tea and coffee. Here you are. Thank you. Please let me know if you need anything. Kyoko returns to the counter. She's quite beautiful. Karen mumbles. Anyway, I begin the conversation, ignoring her remark. I'll be straight with you. What do you think of this string of incidents? For a straight question, that's incredibly vague, don't you think? Karen retorts. She's quick. Nepotism isn't the only reason she's working at Hinagami Pharmaceuticals. Pardon me. Then, what do you think of the fact that it's only your brother's marriage candidates who are being murdered? I throw her a revised question. Do you suspect my brother? Karen asks, her tone rather intense, and glares at me. No, that's not it. He's already been proved innocent. I wave my hand, denying her suggestion and hopefully calming her. Karen brings her tea to her lips. It's the first I've heard of them all being his marriage candidates, but I'm sure my father just decided all that on his own. Did you know any of them were candidates? I heard that Takemiya-san had been chosen after the fact from Sawashiro-san in the train on the way home. I'll have to confirm that with Sawashiro Nanako later. Did you see Takemiya-san when she was here? No, I couldn't. I knew she was coming, but I'm just so busy. If I had known this would happen. The cup Kanen's holding shakes slightly. Let's get back on track. I sip some of my coffee as well, wetting my throat a little. Your brothers, Hinagami Aito-kun's marriage candidates, are being murdered. One thing, hypothesis I should say, comes to mind here regarding the killer's intent. The killer's intent, huh? Yes, the intent to prevent him from succeeding the Hinagami family. That's the killer's intent. I'm sure the plan is for him to succeed the family name, and succeeding Hinagami Pharmaceuticals naturally comes with that, right? My grandfather does still technically own the company, though my father runs it. I doubt that sort of family management system will survive in the future, though. I didn't think I'd hear that from you. There's a limit to what family management can do against company stocks, which are necessary for the development of a corporation. You can't issue too many stocks if you don't want to keep holding the reins of a company, after all. You're knowledgeable about management as well, I see. Hardly. I've just picked up some trivia. But my brother doesn't want to succeed the company. Why would the killer need to continue his crimes? That's the part that really bothers me. If they don't want Aito-kun to inherit anything, there's no need for him to go after his potential wives. They just have to kill him. I suppose you're right. But the culprit can't do that. Two possibilities come to mind then. Either he himself is the culprit, or there's a reason the killer can't kill him. Didn't you just say that my brother was proven innocent? I'm just presenting the possibilities. The important part there was the bit about how the culprit can't kill him. That's pretty vague. You're right, but the reasons are simple enough. Either they can't find him, or their family. I seem to be a suspect all of a sudden. Not at all. Though I can't deny the possibility. After all, if anything were to happen to him, you'd be the next in line for succession, I'm guessing. I cannot succeed the Hinagami family. I don't possess a way to leave behind successors myself. You could still bring a husband into the family. You don't understand anything about the Hinagami family, I see. Is it that important for your bloodline to go on? It seems so. That's why I'll never be able to take over the family, or Hinagami Pharmaceuticals. So Kanen declares. She seems to be very defensive about this, but I mean, there are pretty good reasons, I guess, why she would be. I see. I apologize for my rude remarks. As long as you understand. But in that case, if Aito-kun doesn't take over, who will? When we didn't know where my brother was, several methods were considered. There was discussion of having my uncle, Kureya Yuzuru, or Naori-san take over. But no one acted on those plans before you located Aito-kun. Correct. We were merely preparing for an unlikely possibility. I see. I might have to abandon the notion of the murderer killing to take over the Hinagami family. Kanen's answered all of my leading questions perfectly. Nothing suspicious about her story yet. If I had to say, what's most strange is how calm she is about all this. Let's get back to the murders. No matter the killer's intent, the crime remains the same after all. My objective is finding the killer. No matter how obvious it sounds, I mustn't lose sight of that. These incidents took place in two very different places, Tokyo and the Hitagata settlement. They're separated by distance, but they can be declared part of the same string of incidents, wouldn't you say? It appears so. All of the victims were my brother's marriage candidates, after all. Kanen agrees. Quite. And in Tokyo and Hitagata, the same people were present at the times of all of the murders. At the time, Sawashiro-san and I were back in the settlement, along with my brother. And you too, Tokisaka-san. Kanen stares straight at me. You don't intend to claim that you can't be a suspect just because you're investigating the case, I'm sure. I wouldn't suggest something so arrogant. There are plenty of detective novels where one of the investigators ends up being the culprit after all. Then could you show me proof that you aren't the culprit? I have no reason to kill the victims, though I suppose that's not enough to really prove anything, is it? Of course not. There's always the possibility that you're hiding something quite cleverly. Goodness gracious, I wanted to keep this a secret for as long as possible to use as a trump card, but... if I were the culprit, there would be one more victim. Huh? I hear what I'm sure is the first indication of genuine surprise from Karen tonight. Me? I don't think the culprit has any reason to kill you. I doubt Karen could ever be a candidate for marriage. Then who? Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Are we really going to select Masaaki again? God, there's so many characters to choose from here. Weren't we talking about my brother's marriage candidates? You're right, that was careless of me. I could just give her the correct answer, though. Now, it's your turn next. Can you produce any proof that you aren't the culprit? Let's see. Karen raises her head after regaining her composure. The victims are my brother's marriage candidates, but I was never informed of their identities. I believe my father can verify that. Testimony from a family member doesn't really count for much, but I'll accept that. It's impossible to prove whether or not she really didn't know, but my proof was rather dubious as well. And it's probably true that she wasn't completely sure who the candidates were. Looks like Shizuru has guarded that secret well. Hinagami Kanen-san, what do you think about this string of incidents? I believe they're crimes intending to ensnare my brother. I think that's a strong possibility as well. It's true that he was the first person to be suspected and was immediately arrested. So it seems. But frankly, I was expecting to hear a different answer from you. And what's that? Kanen gives me a straight scowl. It would be an obvious conclusion to come to if you were born and raised in that settlement. I'm talking about Hina-sama's curse. Huh? At the same time as Kaden's surprised exclamation, the door to the shop is opened rather violently. I can't help taking my gaze off of Karen and directing it at the entrance. Sorry to barge in. Good to see you again, Miss Owner. Two men enter the shop. Neither looks particularly suited to this place. Are these guys like loan sharks or something?
Welcome.
Kyoko's expression stiffens. Something's not right here. Right when I'm about to stand up. Whoops, sorry about that. One of the men kicks over a nearby stool. Ah! Hey, cut that out. We didn't come here to play rough. The older-looking man rebukes the younger one. Sorry, bro. Now then, Miss Owner. The man puts his elbow on the counter and presses Kyoko. We're reaching the end of our agreement. You understand, don't you? Sorry, but could you leave it at that? I address the man when Kyoko sends me a frightened glance. And who the hell are you? The younger man threatens me. He's big and looks well built, but I'd say he's about 20.
Tokisaka-kun.
Here I was enjoying a cup of coffee and you have to go and ruin it like this. I stop Kyoko with a look and provoke the men while I survey my surroundings. I've got enough room to get out of the way in the unlikely event that they come at me. And I don't see any breakable glass or anything. Trying to look cool for your lady friend, are you? The man looks at me appraisingly, then suddenly turns his eyes to Karen next to me. Huh, she's quite a looker too.
Please don't touch me.
Karen swats away his hand when he reaches for her. You! Perhaps thinking she's made a fool of him, the man rushes at Karen. Not good, but before I can even move to stop him. I told you not to touch me. Karen slips through the man's arms and gives him a light tap on the back. What? He collapses onto the floor.
There's nothing worse than uncivilized men.
Karen spits her words, looking down at the man. You bitch! Whoa there. When the man stands up and raises his arm, I grab at it and pin him to the floor. Ouch! How about we leave it at this? I ask the man, firmly gripping his shoulder and wrist. Don't act like a lowlife and raise your hand to a woman, got it? Mind letting go of my partner? The man at the counter says to me. I'll let him go if you two get lost. I got it. We'll do that. The older man retreats to the entrance. I stand the guy I'm pinning up, holding his left arm, and walk him over to the door. Bro, sorry. Well then, we'll be back. I drive the two of them out of the shop. Phew.
You're quite formidable.
Oh, there's some stuff you never forget, you know. I would have been in trouble if they'd both come at me. I doubt I'd ever lose to a runt who hadn't even been to war, though. But I suppose that thought is a sign that I'm no spring chicken. And Hinagami-san, was that Aikido? When she slipped past that man, those weren't the moves of an amateur.
Something like that. More importantly.
Karen glances at the counter. Kyoko, are you alright? I call out to Kyoko, who's crouching behind the counter.
Yes.
Kyoko stands up shakily. Her face is pale and her lips are quivering. Sit down here.
Okay.
I have Kyoko sit down on a stool at the counter.
I'll take my leave for now.
Karen picks up her bag and heads to the door. Could I ask you to make sure I'm able to contact you at a moment's notice?
Yes, of course. I won't run or hide. And regarding Hida-sama's curse, I can't succeed in my family, so I had completely forgotten about it.
Leaving me with that, Karen walks out of the shop. Was that an excuse, I wonder? I doubt she could really forget it so conveniently. But enough about that, for now. Kyoko, I say as she covers her face with her hands. I can't find any more words as she sobs quietly. There are a few things I'd like to ask her, but I should probably wait for her to tell me instead. I fixed the tables and stools that were knocked over and moved while I wait for her to calm herself. Fortunately, there aren't any broken dishes or anything.
Thanks, Tokisaka-kun.
Kyoko raises her head, wiping her eyes.
I'm sorry.
You don't need to apologize for anything. I sit down next to Kyoko and she leans against me.
It's not the first time they've been here.
I figured.
I told you at New Year's, right, that I've taken out loans. That's where they were from.
Debt collectors, huh? I bet they'll be back more than once. They're all the more annoying since they have a legitimate reason to be here. Hey, I said this before, but why don't you come live with us? It's too dangerous to live here.
No, I'll be fine.
Kyoko takes my hand in hers.
All they come here for is to collect the money.
Her fingers are trembling. There's no guarantee they won't get violent. If that's the case, then maybe I should stay here.
I'll be fine.
Our eyes meet. Oh no. I see the line of tear traced down her cheek. Kyoko. I gently wrap my arm around her waist. I freeze when the door opens, then turn around. God, it seems like that's the second time we've gotten cock-blocked. Yukiko stands stock still in the doorway.
Am I intruding? I'm sorry about this.
Kyoko wipes her eyes and stands up.
We're closed for the rest of the day. Tokisaka-kun.
Yeah?
Walk Yukiko-chan home, would you? It's dark outside. Huh? I'm fine.
Kyoko?
Please, Tokisaka-kun. If I rely on you now, I won't be able to go back.
Kyoko whispers to me. Okay, is that a bad thing? Oh, we actually have to make a choice here? Guess we should take Yukiko home. I got it. I want Kyoko to stay the way she always is. Lock up tight, okay? Don't open the door for anyone tonight.
Yeah, thanks for looking after Yukiko-chan. I'll be fine, really.
You never know. It's been pretty dangerous around here lately. It's probably got nothing to do with her, but there's no harm in being careful. Of course, if it's those guys from earlier, they could come after me.
No funny business when you're alone with her, okay?
God damn. Why did she think we're like some sexual predator or something? God damn. Kyoko warns me when Yukiko's not looking. We walk the night road from Musashi Sakai Station to the apartments where Yukiko lives.
About earlier.
Yukiko's words fade out. Yeah?
I'm sorry for intruding.
No, you weren't intruding on anything. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily true. It wasn't really the time anyway. Yeah, I feel like it was about to happen though. I'm worried about Kyoko all alone in the shop, but...
Are you thinking about Hazuki-san?
A little bit. I answer honestly.
What's your relationship?
It's complicated. Yukari hasn't told you? She shakes her head at my question. Well, we're just old friends. With benefits.
It didn't look that way.
There's a lot going on there. I respond ambiguously, too lazy to explain. You could just say we're having sex. That's really the most straightforward explanation. Yukiko's words stop again. What is it this time?
Can I ask you something?
If it's something I can answer, sure.
I'm worried about my future.
I feel like we've had this conversation before when we talked to her in the park. Yukiko starts talking. Guess she's worried about her career path. It's pretty common for girls her age. Is there anything you want to do with your life?
I don't know.
Yukiko shakes her head, stumped.
I don't know. That's why I'm worried.
I see. I guess you wouldn't be worried if she'd already decided. Not necessarily, though, of course.
What should I do?
That's a pretty difficult question to answer. Well, thinking about what you want to do comes first, not what you want to be.
What I want to do? I want to help my mother.
Then doesn't that make it clear what you should be doing? It'd be fine for her to help Fuyumi out at the daycare, right?
I suppose.
Yukiko's still looking down, but she gives a small nod.
Please come in. It's cold outside, so...
Yukiko says, rushing into the apartments ahead of me. Well, I can't really turn her down, so I follow her.
Oh my, oh my, oh my!
Fuyumi says from the living room where she's munching on some rice crackers. Hey, good evening.
He walked me home. No funny business?
I wouldn't dream of it.
Mom, I'm gonna go change. Can you make Tokisaka-san some tea?
Yukiko leaves the living room.
Wanna go peep?
No thanks.
I wish that girl would learn to have some fun.
Okay, you were just telling us not to do anything with her, and then you say something like that. Like, what the fuck? Fuyumi heads to the kitchen.
I guess she's uncomfortable since we're not related by blood.
I'm not sure I'd say that. She's putting a lot of thought into how she can help her mother.
It seems like she's worrying about a bunch of stuff right now.
Fuyumi sets down some tea on the table. There are things you can't talk about with your family because they're your family, especially at that age. I hold the teacup with both hands, warming my palms.
Are you talking about your sister?
It's not limited to my sister. I sip my tea. It moistens my dry lips.
Do detectives give advice to people?
That's not my job. Yukiko comes back wearing her house clothes.
Thank you for walking me home. Come to think of it, where'd you run into each other today? Moonworld.
Yukiko's blushing.
Something happened?
No, not really. Fuyumi senses something and asks with a grin, so I try to respond with as natural an expression as I can manage. I probably shouldn't tell her about either of the matters. Well, I'll be going. I drain my tea and stand up.
You should stay and relax.
Well, it's getting late, and also it looks like you'd probably kill me if I stayed.
Thank you.
I leave the Kayahara residence with Yukiko and Fuyumi seeing me off. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, that's not good. What's happening? Oh, another dream. A dream. I'm having another dream. Even though he took that sleeping medication, or at least I'm assuming she did. I thought I wouldn't have these anymore. I must open my eyes, but my body doesn't budge. Am I awake? No. My consciousness is still at the bottom of a deep sea. That's why I see the scenery before me, hazy as it may be, that I'd never seen before. I struggle to escape this dream. I struggle and struggle, or I try to at least. I try to use my arms and legs to claw my way to the surface, but I can't move. The flickering scenery before me seems to grow larger. No, it's going to swallow me. My body moves. No, my body is being moved. In defiance of my own will, my arms are strangling the person in front of me. I don't know who it is. I don't know, but I'm crying. I'm crying, but there are no tears coming from this body's eyes. Fingers dig into the neck. I don't have the strength to strangle someone this easily. Therefore, it's a dream. It must be a dream. I tell that to myself again and again. Even with my eyes squeezed shut, I can clearly see the pained expression of the person before me. I don't know if you noticed, but it looked like she was wearing, the person strangling her might have been wearing the blessed congregation garb, or the robes they wear. But we didn't really see enough of it to be able to tell definitively. And yet, I can't remember what the person looks like. I've met this person. That's right, this throat I'm strangling belongs to. You'll never know.